Hello ladies and gentlemen, this time we're looking at Hadir Farm. Hadir Farm is a level 30 plus dungeon located in western Yinsteer on the eastern province of Harania. The dungeon is close to the actual Hadir Farm area and you will find the entrance located near the crossroads of this zone. It's recommended to have the traditional 1 tank, 1 healer and 3 DPS setup for this 5-player dungeon, but you can also do this solo as a level 50 with minor difficulties and of course boost other players at 50. It is recommended that if you are soloing this dungeon at level 50 that you are wearing plate gear or have the equivalent skill to avoid damage and kite as much as possible, as the monsters and indeed bosses hit extremely hard for mid 30 level creatures. In this demonstration I will be running as a level 50 dagger spell, along with my friend Megadeth, who's currently a level 50 primeval at the time of beta. So I'm wearing cloth, he's wearing leather. Both of these setups are pretty bad for soloing and boosting, so we'll be relying on the remainder of the dungeon team we are helping out today, which are our 3 extra DPS from this guild on the beta. We have no tank or healer, but if we take it slowly and surely and carefully we should be fine. So, Hadir Farm is a fairly short dungeon, with many of the trash monsters skippable by simply walking near them. Some however can aggro from range, and some creatures in particular have a nasty fear effect which could cause additional pulls, so it is best to clear as many additional monsters as you see fit along the way, unless you're feeling lucky. The dungeon itself is set in a large open area where you must reach the northern crater-like area of the map from the southern entrance. Along the way you will encounter 3 bosses. So, I won't be going too much into the lore of the dungeon, but you can check that out your own time whilst running it. But the first named guy you will find is Farm Supervisor Sargreth. This guy is not any more powerful than any of the other monsters, just has a slightly larger health pool, but he does act to provide story to the dungeon and prepares you in hints to the necromantic nature of the first boss of the dungeon. The first boss is the Rotten Flesh Golem. This fight is fairly simple and is a tank and spank fight on its own, with the only major mechanic being nasty green gas puddles to avoid whilst the encounter is progress that spawn at melee range. However, if you do not have a tank or a healer, it is advised to do this strategy which we will employ here today, which at the time of beta still works. Whether or not it works in the future you will see, where you can actually kite the giant green fool into one of these nearby houses which is open, where you can go inside, get everyone in there, and currently on beta the giant cannot actually enter the house and is actually stuck in the doorway, allowing you to range DPS him down with ease. Of course this is an unintentional approach to the boss, but it does help if you have no healer or tank available and still want to try out the dungeon or farm the first guy. Gas only spawns in a direct melee range of the boss, so with this tactic you can negate all of his mechanics completely. Alternatively, if this was fixed on live, you could kite the boss around outside the house if you had no tank or healer, as he is fairly slow to move, and of course you can slow him down with abilities, so you can actually range him down no problem. So once this guy is dead, up a little further past more trash monsters is the second boss, which is Lady Valerie Blueblood. This second boss fight is easier than the first in my opinion in terms of how hard she will hit you herself, but she does have some interesting mechanics to name, namely large circles that explode on the floor. Periodically throughout the fight she will place these circles at range, which you will need to walk out of before they detonate. The other mechanic in place here are the tombstones. Occasionally the boss will summon these tombstones around the area. These tombstones actually need to be destroyed by you interacting with them, pressing F, that's default key, on them at melee range as soon as possible. Failure to click and destroy these stones in time, and they periodically summon adds, these ghost adds that spawn for a brief few seconds and run towards nearby players and explode for a large amount of damage on them. These things aren't targetable and will only disappear when you destroy the tombstones. For this reason alone, your ranged DPS need to prioritize clicking these as soon as possible. That's their duty, and then go back on the boss, kill the tombstone, go back on the boss, and vice versa. Once you have that basic mechanic down, she's fairly simple really. The rest of it's tank and spank. Just try and avoid the circles on the floor, they're very easy and clear to see. Click the tombstones and she'll be dead, no problem. The next few trash monsters actually shouldn't pose too much of a problem, but are a little bit more intense. So if you feel overwhelmed, make sure you use bubbles and other CC techniques, from sorcery and witchcraft and the other ones as well, if you have them, to make the pulls even easier and smoother. Remember, in this game you can actually apply a lot of the CC to all different variations of mobs, not like in World of Warcraft, for example, where it'd have to be a humanoid, for example. Okay, so once we have cleared these trash mobs, we make our way up to this crater here. We get a really cool cutscene that I will show you here, and we will fight the final boss of the dungeon. So, the final boss encounter, also known as the giant pain in the ass if RNG is feeling nasty on the day you do it, Marmus the Reaper, or Smarmus the Git. So this boss has a unique mechanic of being virtually invincible unless you tank him inside a large yellow circle of light that spawns on the floor. This light circle can spawn in some truly awful locations, which can cause you to wipe. However, with good luck on the circle spawns, they actually spawn in a place you can actually get to, hopefully. So that's that. If you do get a bad spawn, don't worry about it, it's not you, just despawn the boss by running away from the area and try again. This circle will make the boss vulnerable whilst he's inside it, where he will glow bright yellow and on fire to signify that he has this debuff from the circle and can actually be killed. Outside of it, he virtually takes no damage at all. I think he takes like 15 damage a hit, which is ridiculous. The boss fight itself is a combination of the previous boss fights, the circle movement to avoid little exploding circles, a little of the first boss with the avoiding the areas of AoE, and also it has some trash mobs as well. This guy will summon 4 circles around him in melee range that explode. They're much bigger than the one on the previous boss. If you actually get caught in one of these, you can die very, very easily, even at level 50 actually. The scaling is ridiculous. However, directly under the boss himself is always a safe spot directly under him, so you can stand there if you want. The other thing the boss does is he will spawn ads periodically throughout the fight. These don't need to be tanked and are regular non-elite level 30s, which can be easily taken down with a well-placed AoE ability or the range just focusing them down. Kill these ads as soon as possible, as it's quite easy to actually get overwhelmed if you ignore them, and more obviously pop out as the boss fight progresses and his HP gets lower. The boss also has the nasty habit of summoning clones of himself as he gets lower and lower in health towards death. For this reason, you can mark the boss for the initial pull of the actual boss encounter to show which of them you need to focus down, or you could simply remember which one is which. But do not waste time on the other clones. They have the same amount of health as him, they hit as hard as him, but you will not get credit for the kill if you kill those. They are essentially an enraged mechanic to deal with whilst dealing with the last percentages of the main boss's health, and they do actually disappear when he dies, so make sure you don't waste DPS there. The boss in our instance, in our particular situation with having no tank or healer, was kited around to and from myself and Megadeth using stealth aggro drops, so dropping aggro completely and the other guy picking it up by pressing stealth. You can actually use stealth in combat, so it's incredibly useful to pick up stealth. It's like the best ability you can get in the game. So when he got nearer one of us, we would obviously, you obviously need to use insulating lens or any other defensives you have it if you're going to be doing this. But get yourself low on health and then drop aggro with the stealth ability and heal up so the other guy can pick up, or just kite around the circle and hope he stays in it. Fundamentally, if you have a tank and healer combo, your tank would only need to move for the occasional ad if you need to, and your healer could stand in the center of the yellow circle or actually directly underneath the boss and just focus on healing only. So that's a good tip if you are a healer or a tank. Anyway, hopefully you have found this small guide for Hadir Farm helpful and you've killed these bosses. Whether or not you are soloing this, or if you're in a structured team, I intend to provide guides to help you experience the wonderful aspects of Archeage in their entirety. So thank you kindly for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more. If you have enjoyed this guide and you want to see a guide on something else or any other aspect of the game, leave a comment below and I'll get right to it. But until next time, I will see you next time. Additionally, CBT4 is starting at the time of release of this video. Obviously this is old information if you're watching this after that, but we actually got hold of a couple of extra keys and we thought we'd put them here for anyone who wants to use them and get into CBT4 and has watched the video through all the way. More surprises for watching our videos all the way through are coming soon, so stay tuned for more information on that, and we're going to be trying to reward our viewers. But thanks again for watching, guys, and I will indeed see you next time. Thank you, and bye.